against them. And my latest understanding is that they have been remanded. The processes of privileges and parliamentary privileges have limitations as well. It's not an open check that once you become a member of parliament, therefore you can engage in any acts. There are limitations to those privileges. The privileges that I understand very well are those that protect free speech and action taken in the chamber of this parliament. If we should go and do things contrary to the law in some other place, or insult somebody in some other place, you could be immediately taken from there without any recourse to anybody. So the privileges, we should understand, we enjoy them to give us the right and the freedom to speak freely about what affects our people. That's why we have those privileges. When a member of this house has found or has been alleged to have found himself in conflict with the law, there are procedures that are followed. And one of them, most important, is that if charges are going to be preferred or an arrest warrant is going to be executed, the speaker must be given notice. Actually, the warrants or whatever they are first brought to the speaker. And in this case, it was brought to the deputy speaker, who courteously called the two members, had a meeting with them. Even they even talked about choices of lawyers, which was not what the speaker was required to do, but the deputy speaker was able to do that. He said, go and deal with the situation. These matters have been brought to my attention. Here you are. Best of luck. Once those processes have started taking place and they're moving, we cannot interfere as parliament. There may be evidence, there may not be evidence. If there's evidence, they'll produce. If there's no evidence, they'll not be able to produce them in court. And the case will collapse on its own weight. So, are there any steps being taken by parliament? The only step that could be taken is to update you that today they have done this, today they have done this, which I think would not be part of what the speaker should be doing in this house. Because these people are in custody, we know where they are. Updates, members, I'm personally going to find them and go and see them wherever they are and have a chat with them. So members can go, but it should not be the thing of the house to update. Tomorrow, okay, today they slept very well, or tomorrow, no, please. I think we'll be taking it a bit far. For now, let's leave it like that. As members, we know they are there and we are concerned. If there are no charges, if the charges are not grounded, we'll also find occasion to deal with that. But for now, let's respect the court processes and also our internal procedures in Parliament. Thank you. Aleppo?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. As I mentioned, I'm up to raise an urgent matter of national importance from a Leptong district. Right Honorable Speaker, this is about the frequency and severity of fatalities and damages caused by lightning as a result of the heavy rains during this period. Just about 2 days ago, we had the funeral service of 5 people who perished in one household. And that incident happened last week, Wednesday. This was not the first time we are having these fatal occurrences. In the recent past, we've had similar occurrences within the same sub-county of Omoro, within a Aloy sub-county, within a Bako sub-county. And looking at the trend, it looks like there are areas or sub-counties which are very much prone to lightning. And we're looking at the kind of fatalities and wondering, in some of the instances, like one which happened previously in Omoro, the same sub-county, it struck 15 people. And these were farmers who were having a meeting at the sub-county headquarters. So we are left wondering, and the communities are wondering, what could have been the fatality rates if this happened within a school setting with thousands of pupils. My prayers, therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, is to kindly but urgently urge the government, especially the Office of the Prime Minister, the Department of Disaster Risk and Management, to support with conducting hazards, risks, and vulnerability mapping, to be able to come up with recommendations that can support planning, that can help to aid a contingency plan to be able to support this community. And also for the government to explore, for these areas which are prone, the possibility of installation of lightning protection systems, at least within areas like sub-county headquarters, within schools, especially for sub-counties which are very much prone. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to move.
Thank you. Can I have a response from the government?
Thank you, Right Honorable. I don't know if it would offend the rules. The Minister for Disaster Preparedness. Thank you, Right Honorable. I don't know if it offends the rules. The Minister for Disaster Preparedness, in a few minutes, is reaching here. There's a colleague who also told me he has an issue. So I would propose that when he comes, he addresses the two issues, but my colleague here has information, Right Honorable.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Government Chief Whip, for giving way. Right Honorable Speaker, we sympathize with the colleague from Alepton, and indeed, whenever the rains come, these are the occurrences. Even in our individual homes, we are all scared of this. But the information I want to give, Right Honorable Speaker, is that because of the same occurrences, government took initiative to ensure that all the schools install lightning arresters. We have them as a way of policy, and I would maybe request colleagues here that we also advise those who are able to make sure that we put lightning arresters to our individual residences. Otherwise, it is a common occurrence, and government installation, it is a policy which we are already putting in place. I would also employ my sister to advise those who are able and us here to take that. Mr. Thank you.
On what matter do you raise, the Minister of Energy?
On information which will help handle the situation quickly. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Colleagues, I'm rising at a point of information because we've been receiving similar cases where disaster happened. The first thing the district should do, under the chairperson of the District Disaster Management Committee, is to assess the gravity of the matter, liaise with the MP, so that when the MP brings the information, that preliminary requirement is done. Every district has a disaster preparedness committee. Once the assessment is done, Prime Minister's office can be able to gauge what kind of assistance can be taken. I thought I should give this information to help colleagues, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Information.
To who?
Right Honorable Speaker, I wanted to give information to the recurrent holder.
Kasese District.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would wish to bring to our attention and that of the House the plight of the people of Kasese, which requires an immediate government intervention. Right Honorable Speaker, the people of Kasese have experienced several and disastrous floods since 2013. I appreciate the Prime Minister's initiative who took a team of ministers last month to assess the havoc caused by the floods. But Honorable Speaker, ever since the Prime Minister and the team left Kasese last month, River Nyamwamba has burst its banks 5 times. Yesterday, again, there were floods. As I speak now, over 450 people have no shelter and food. Right Honorable Speaker, 2 children are missing following the floods. My prayer, Right Honorable Speaker, is that the Minister of Disaster and Preparedness urgently provides the affected persons with food and other relief items, and also to conduct a search for the missing children. And also pray that government commences the construction works on River Nyamwamba and other rivers in Kasese district and put in place a permanent resettlement plan to evacuate those in natural disaster-prone areas. Right, Honorable Speaker, it was last week when the 3rd Deputy Prime Minister called those ministers who were in Kasese for a meeting, and they told her that the construction work had started on Nyamwamba River, but for sure it is not there. That's why people are continuing to suffer due to the floods. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Procedure.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. For the record, my name is Julius Achon, representing people of Otuke East, Otuke District. The procedure matter I'm raising, Honorable Speaker, over many years, I think 5 years that I'm been in Parliament, I raised the procedure matter of the storm destroying part of the district or constituents where I've come from. The Ministry of Disaster, they've never even have a chance or a step to go to visit where we always raise. Is it right?
That was
time?
5 years ago?
Well, that's a lot this year actually, in April, when I raised and I wrote a letter and he was ordered to go to Tuke to visit. The procedure I'm raising, is it right for each time each member of parliament raise this matter of national importance, the ministry does not have a chance to go and follow up what to be done? Thank you.
No, it's bad manners.
Procedure.
For accessing the microphone before I've selected you, you will maintain your peace. Barara City, North.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise on an urgent matter of national importance. Mr. Speaker, sir, early this morning, in my constituency, in my parish, a 1 OC, Corporal Agaba Richard, was murdered. Mr. Speaker, sir, there was an incident at a certain bar around Chianja Cell in Ruharo Parish, where the OC was called by a one Tumsime James to help, and on reaching the scene, he found the thugs had taken off. He requested a one border person to help him ride his bike, and in a certain place near another hotel called Palm Hotel in Ruharo, he found these people, thugs, who had waylaid him. Mr. Speaker, sir, the OC was shot at, the rider took off, and the thugs, the murderers, took away with his gun, and thereafter, police reinforcement came. The thugs were nowhere. Mr. Speaker, sir, I've talked to the RCC, who confirmed that yesterday he arrested 8 people with pangas, and they're going to be aligned before court. My prayer, Mr. Speaker, sir. We have seen what has happened in Masaka. Mr. Speaker, sir, my prayer is the honorable ministers concerned to take action from the previous days that things have happened in Masaka, so they don't also happen in Bara City. I beg to move. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, Security.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, and I thank the member for raising this matter. We have heard about that incident, and indeed it is similar with the other incidents we are handling in the areas of Greater Masaka. But Right Honorable, like Honorable Attorney General assured the House yesterday, we are going to come up with a comprehensive report about these incidences of security matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Aringa County. Order, point of order. Is it a point of order? Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I risk being seen to hound colleagues because I raised a similar matter last week. But it's because when rules are set, they must be followed. And Mr. Speaker, you're known to be a stickler to rules. Mr. Speaker, I grew up seeing the Honorable Engineer Hilary Onek in this August House. And by extension, he's been one of those that have framed the rules of procedure in this House since he's been here for a very long time. And I'm sure he's very well aware of Rule 82, which talks about dress code. Mr. Speaker, the way he's dressed does not seem to be in conformity with Rule 82. Is he in order, Mr. Speaker?
The rules all cited outline the category of clothing that are permitted in the chamber. I watched the Honorable Hilary Onek walking in. He bowed to me. I checked the way he was dressed. I was very comfortable with it because he's wearing a suit. He's wearing a shirt inside and even another T-shirt inside. So I am very comfortable. This. Honorable Semuju, on what matter do you raise?
Mr. Speaker, I am not challenging your ruling.
You know better.
Yes. So the trouble now with COVID, masks don't allow us to see. Maybe the member will need to stand up for you to see him properly. Because he's actually dressed like he's going for, I don't know, because I'm looking for a better word, not to sound bad. And he came with his chest open as if he was going for war in South Sudan.
The honorable member knows how to challenge the speaker's ruling. Follow the procedure and you'll be safe. Please, let's proceed. Where were we? With these things from Nakawa and Nansana. Yes. I think the Honorable Minister in charge of disaster preparedness is here. There's issue from Aleptong, lightning has hurt people, has killed people, and the frequency is increasing. Something needs to be done. 2 in Kasese, the same river that has claimed the same river that has claimed so much exerted so much pressure and suffering on people in Kasese, as in the last few weeks burst its bank 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And the people are displaced, over 400 people. So this question was supposed to be submitted to you as the minister responsible, the honorable member for, not the honorable minister of state for environment had made some significant contribution on this matter of debate. But now that you are here, you might want to say something about this. How do we help these people, both in the short term and also in the long term?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues, members of Parliament. Definitely, I'm glad that members are concerned with the occurrence of disasters throughout the country. Because of the climatic change, a lot is happening now. We're in a zone which is bedeviled with a lot of hazards arising from different climatic, caused by climatic changes. We have attempted as a disasters department to really try to provide answers for some of these. For example, we have in place a department which we created to really study the causes of disasters and so on. And with reasonable accuracy of about 10%, we can predict the problems. But the challenges facing us is that the department is resource constrained to handle all the disasters which have been reported. And what is happening in areas like Aleptong with lightning that is happening, hitting the areas there. We know that in practice, for example, when people are putting up buildings, lightning arresters have to be installed. Those are in practice. But of course, in villages, it's difficult sometimes for those items to be accessed by our population. They don't have the resources, they don't have the capacity. And my office is coordinating with a team from USA, which is a group that can give donations. We have addressed some areas where lightning happened, like in Kiradongo one time, a school was hit, several students were killed and so forth. They happened to respond to it in time and help us with the various lightning arresters, etc. We have challenges, as I said, with resources because we don't have stock of those building items to actually address the lightning. But however, I've taken note and I'm going to try to see if the Ministry of Finance can support us and with resources so that we now start addressing specifically for Aleptong and not only Aleptong, area of Kiradong is equally bad with lightning. We coordinate for the schools, we shall coordinate with the Ministry of Education to see that we put our efforts together to install lightning arresters in schools if possible and buildings of interest. River Nyamwamba in Kasese has been a menace for a long time. The problem with Kasese is that with the increase in population, people have now occupied the mountain, the hilltops. The agriculture is ongoing, deforestation is ongoing, and the rock bases, those rocks, the hills there is composed of rocks. The hill bases of the bases of those rocks have been destabilized. And when there's a heavy downpour, all the rocks are pushed down. If today you went to River Nyamwamba, go through up to Kilembe and you follow it upward, you find the riverbed is now full of rocks, big boulders of 5 ton, 6 ton. There is no longer sand, it's just rock bed all the way. A lot of rocks. These are because of the human activity on those hills. We have destabilized the environment, and that's what is happening. And we discussed this with the Ministry of Water and Environment, who actually have a plan on how to see what intervention they can have in place. As a result, many people are displaced. We have camps of displaced people in Kasese, and we about 6 weeks or so ago, when we went there with the Prime Minister, we took some relief, and we understand now those relief are over. The Minister of Finance recently last week, they made to us available some resources. We are at the moment trying to buy food and whatever the requirements that would go for us disaster victims in Kasese. I think by end of this week, we should be able to respond to Kasese because our people are there. Most of the time they've been going there checking. Like these rivers have been bursting very frequently because rainfall has increased and the hills have become bare. They are no longer holding the water up. So most of the water pouring down with rocks and so on. So they keep sweeping down. Honorable Semuju and the colleague were commenting negatively on my dressing because I'm always on the move. I try my best. I try my best at any time I'm in the field. When I hear disasters in a place, sometimes I rush there. So,
Point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I know that the minister is always in the field.
Honorable Minister, would you like to sit?
Maybe he has actually mistaken this parliament to be part of the field. That you can come dressed the way he's dressed. But the point of what I am raising is whether a member can reopen a matter on which the speaker has made a ruling in a way challenging the authority of the speaker. Is the member in order to reopen a matter closed by the speaker with a ruling?
Am I hearing the Honorable Semuju speaking about this? Is it you, Honorable Semuju? You did that hardly 5 minutes ago. Can we move on now? Honorable Minister, please wind up without reference to other things.
thank you, Right Honorable. And thank you, colleagues. My office is open. At the moment, I'm battling floods. And in addition to those landslides. And so the disaster is big. We need to put our heads together. Those affected, my office is open. Let's sit together as colleagues and find solutions. If I can, we can move on and make sure we get solutions.
Clarification. Clarification.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker. The simple clarification I seek from the Minister is in regards to a communication that was passed by Honorable Ruth. In your absence, she made mention that the district disaster committees always prepare and share with you. The clarification I seek from you is how prepared are these district disaster committees of the districts, and how well facilitated are they? Because from what I know,
most of these district disaster committees, when even a disaster happens, even moving from one place to another to go and verify, they will give the excuse always, we don't have fuel to move from point A to point B. And I want to give the example of Amuro. The distance between the town council where the district sits and, for example, where Elegu, where flooding takes place is some 100 kilometers. And they'll always say, we are not yet ready to go and verify. For me, this is my biggest concern. Thank you.
Honorable Minister. Point of clarifications are yours, not for the speaker. So you accept or reject, that's yours, not me.
Yeah, you can ask your clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And that's why I like Honorable Hillary. It's always somebody who doesn't fear questions. And Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Achon raises something very important to me. He says the last 5 years, we had issues of disaster nature being raised here. Again, this year around April, he's talking about issues of the same nature. But he doesn't see the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness present in his constituency. And I see that there is a need for you to specifically address that concern. What are you doing specifically to allay the members' fear, like you are not helping them at all? Because like you answered these questions generally, can you go specific? For instance, when we talk about the issue of Kasese here, the honorable colleague is talking about 2 people who have gone missing, but I have not heard of any response to that effect. What is the specific action that you are taking about this? Because this is not a matter that can stay for another 1 week. What are the specific answers to these questions? And how I wish you could visit Alebtong, because I believe you have the fuel. At least the fuel is there.
Honorable Minister, you are holding the floor.
Thank you, colleagues. I think the district disaster committee are basically there to give us information, and they don't have capacity. We don't have district officials. We don't have disaster offices in the district. We have only district disaster committee composed of administrators in the district. Their job is to give us timely information on what is happening in their district. So these are all restricted by budget. We don't have a big department, a very small department. Now, Honorable Achom definitely stated that I have not visited his place, his constituency. Definitely, my plans right now are to go and visit the floods around Lake Kyoga. Maybe during that period, I'm moving there this week. I want to move over the weekend and move and see the situation in Lake Kyoga, and then from there, maybe I'll try my best, Honorable Achom, to go to visit what is happening in Aleptong. Because the problem there is not different from what I see in Kumi, Ngariam, all those places in Teso, which are flood areas, which are flooded because of being flat, and the dams which used to absorb those water are silted, and therefore there's a lot of flooding on the lowlands. And that is affecting people mainly in Usuk there, Ngariam, going all the way up to Aleptong. They have similar problems sometimes. So we have those challenges, which I will go and see, but our long-term solution is to get a Ministry of Water together with, maybe we shall coordinate with them to desil those dams, to the extent that we have gone further to request HE, the president, now to give us equipment so that we ourselves go around and try to mitigate some of those issues ourselves. And we shall work on that. Maybe it's a long-term solution, not a short-term. Now, the specific actions taken, there are too many actions being taken. I cannot go to the specific, but the best thing to do is let me tour your districts And when I'm going there, I'm starting from Lake Yoga area, and then I'll move further. Whereas my colleague will go to Kasese, because I was in Kasese about twice, 3 times. And then we see how to battle with these problems. Our problem is resource constraint. We don't have even budget. As a ministry, we don't even have a budget. We have what they call contingency fund, which most of it had gone for vaccines and other things. And there's no money left there for us for disasters. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge. But anyway, thank you for your support, members. Thank
Point
you.
of information. In-
Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, I would like to make a clarification to the Minister. Honorable Minister, I would want you to get a clear clarification between Otuke and Leptong. So when you drive, you don't get lost. A Chon representing Otuke East, a Chen representing a Leptong district. So please, when you go, don't turn on the left, then you return back. Thank you.
But of course, if you live like Yoga, you go into a Leptong, and then you cross into Otuke. So it's the same belt. Stop confusing the minister. Aringa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm Ezama Siraj, Aringa County. I'm rising on the matter of national importance. Right Honorable Speaker, Yumbe district is hosting the biggest number of refugees in Uganda. These refugees are coming from South Sudan. We have more than 26 porous border points that allow free movement of refugees to Uganda. The movement of these refugees has now been characterized by influx of guns in Uganda. Aware that we have some rebel groups in South Sudan, some guys from our district have decided also to go to South Sudan and joined themselves with those rebel groups. Now there is a lot of gun influx in Yumbe district, and these guns are used in order to rob people. I have now that fear that since we are hosting these refugees in Uganda, and the border points are very porous, these people are likely to transfer their conflict of South Sudan in Uganda because of the free movement.
What is the
My
urgent-
prayer is now that.
No, but I haven't got the urgent matter.
My prayer is now that the urgent matter is that the movement of people with the guns in Yumbe is causing a lot of robbery. Every day you will find that at least 2 or 1 people are robbed in the district. My prayer is now that our gallant son and daughters in uniform should have to be deployed along those border points so that the security station there is provided and we keep to stay in peace. Aware that we had a rebel group in Yumbe whereby a comprehensive peace agreement was made. We don't want to come in that situation again. Thank you, I beg to submit.
Information.
Excuse
Thank
me?
you very much.
No. Honorable, no. He has all the information. I know you are from the neighborhood, but let him deal with the matter. Can I have a response from the minister, please, on this matter?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mafabi, you're not even wearing your mask. By that alone, you have violated one of the. So can we listen from the minister, then deal with your procedural matter? Yes.
Yeah, Right Honorable Speaker, I thank the member for bringing this information. I will liaise with my colleagues, the Minister of Internal Affairs and the Minister of Defense to handle the matter immediately.
So it's a matter of defense. I see the minister responsible for defense here. So
Yeah, we had a discussion we are going to handle, Right Honorable.
So you are going to handle with him so he doesn't have to respond now. It's the Honorable Minister. Some of these things do not require a response in Parliament.
That's right.
Most of them actually require you in the field with your teams to solve that problem.
Correct, right.
Because it's not about us here, it's about those people who are being affected by these activities. So I don't like too many statements here. I prefer action in the field so that those people feel protected. Speeches here, they work. Yes,
I agree with you, Right Honorable friend.
So these reports, we are coming with a report, will not help if those people are still grieving. And
much obliged, much obliged.
Yes. Yes, the other part of Aringa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank my colleague for raising that issue. Right, Honorable Speaker, when this issue of insecurity started, we sought the attention of both the IGP and the CDF. We had a meeting with the police chief, and also another meeting was held in Mboya with the CDF, explaining all these situations. My brother represents Aringa County, I represent Aringa North. The issue is that the number of people who come with arms from South Sudan is not a secret. And we also,
so do you know the number? Because the number of people who come.
Yes, that is in terms, I may not give that, I'm saying the number is more than one would imagine. I may not give the specific numbers of arms, but insecurity that happens in a particular night across the district gives you the impression of the number of arms being used. Only Saturday, around 2 people were killed. Before that night, 3 other people were killed. So it is not a small issue. There are other groups of people who are taking activity of charcoal burning. If we may not supervise and control entrance of that charcoal activity, people might even smuggle guns in charcoals. It may not be an issue that will remain at border. It may become a serious national issue. In this meeting at Mboya, we identified at least 4 porous areas where they could establish some detachments to carry patrols. But since that meeting, nothing has taken place. So I think many times when we raise issues and we bring them forward, this will not be just for the sake of bringing them. We should take action. So I believe whatever the minister has said here will be taken as a serious issue and action must be taken. Thank you.
That's exactly what I was saying. It's not about speeches here. It's about how we move each time we get information, how we move back there and help those people who are being affected by some of these activities. It's you, security, I see defense and internal affairs. It's your bid to do this thing. Established to defend the territorial integrity, defend the people of this country, their life, their property, their information. It's your call. Just do it. Members, I give you information, just act on it. We don't want to hear, we just want to hear the whole country peaceful and we'll be happy. No. You are now making this a territorial matter. Yes, Honorable. Briefly, please. Oh, the microphone is not working, so we can move to the next item.
Yeah, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for allowing me and my colleagues. Honorable Minister, this information is for you. Minister for Defense, you are here. for security, you are here. As I talk now, there's an anonymous letter to the effect that these same people from Sudan say they are coming for the RDCs, they're coming for DSOs, they're coming for PSOs. They should wait for them, they're coming. We have that small cheat. You also have it. Yes, we have this information. So it's, Mr. Speaker, it's a very serious issue. Just last week, we also raised a matter of urgent national importance here to the effect that 2 people were shot in Obongi district, and they were arrested with 2 guns in a place called Kuru. So insecurity generally has engulfed our region now, Western region. Please, Minister of Defense, Minister of Internal Affairs, it's a very serious issue. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, Honorable Dria, please. Can we leave it there now, Honorable Dria, please? This debate has taken quite some time. Please. Aringa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for having guided the Minister to take action. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of insecurity, especially in Yumbe, last year we raised concern about the police not having a pickup for patrol. Up to today, the only pickup which the district had, the police, got involved in an accident. As I talk, the entire district police force doesn't have a single pickup. Right Honorable Speaker, can the minister give this House assurance that to improve on security in the district, they are going to provide at least a pickup for the police force? Thank you so much.
Honorable Minister, please.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister, Speaker. Like you rightly guided, we are going to take action on the ground. And the matter of Yumbe is well presented in the House. We have taken note and we are going to take action. I cannot speak about pickups here, but we shall provide security in the area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cole South.
Mr. Speaker, I was only offering help because there are many pickups in my constituency of police. So that we can actually surrender to Yumbe because there are too many.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. In what capacity are you speaking, Honorable Semujo? As a distributor of pickups?
Mr. Speaker, because I see these pickups, even in the ordinary police post, they are there. So you go to meet people, 3 are following you. So I thought, because it is a public resource, we can surrender to Yumbe.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my name is Ochen Peter. I represent the people of Kole South, Kole District. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of national concern. Right Honorable Speaker, recently, the Ministry of Defense advertised the recruitment of local defense forces. Right Honorable Speaker, the people of Kole District responded to the advertisement and they went for aptitude test. They were shortlisted. Yesterday, Right Honorable Speaker, to my dismay, these candidates who were shortlisted
turn up to check on their names. The first name that was displayed on the 5th of September had 102 candidates that were shortlisted. Just yesterday, that list was plucked off and another list was displayed of 70 people, 70 candidates. The two lists are here, Right Honorable Speaker. Recently, you made mention that whoever is talking here, whoever is making presentation, should have evidence. Should have evidence, Right Honorable Speaker. The second list does not include some names of the candidates from Kwale district. And these names, we don't know where they came from. Right Honorable Speaker, sincerely, with the rampant unemployment in the country, Kwale district, like any other district in Uganda, are also privileged to be employed. They employ the youth. And I want to request that even the Ministry of Defense should also give Kwale district their quota. My humble prayer, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my humble prayer is that let the indigenous youth of Kwale district who are actually longing to be employed in the LDUs be employed. Let them not be denied their opportunity. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, as you stated before, I want to lay these two lists on table so that Ministry of Defense can also come to our help and recruit people according to their quota.
Where did you get them from?
These were the lists that were displayed.
Where did you get them from?
This document. Yeah, they were those people. So they capture from the from.
Are you the one? Are you the one who plucked them off the wall?
No, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. With the current technology, these candidates, these youth, when they went there.
No. You will not receive them on record, but you can avail them to the Minister responsible for Defense, who will move with it and take action. No, Honorable Mangachibumi, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Speaker, I beg your indulgence. The issue of Kwale looks a smaller issue, but it seems it's a national concern. Yesterday, I was watching news, and there is this district where Honorable Emmanuel Dombo comes from, the east.
Butaleja.
The local councillors, the district speaker, the council of the area, we are raising the same concern, that the list they displayed does not include people from their localities, and it's the quota of a district. And this has been a concern for quite some time, the way UPDF recruits. And you can't just dismiss it like that. So my humble prayer is that—
Honorable, who has dismissed it?
No, my humble prayer, Honorable Speaker.
Who has dismissed it in your assessment? Who has dismissed it in your assessment?
No, Right Honorable Speaker, my only prayer. I withdraw that statement.
Please, would you like to resume your seat? I am the one who has directed those documents to be given to the Minister of Defense for further interrogation. The Minister of Defense is going to respond if you had not unceremoniously got up to speak without us following the procedure. You only get the respect you deserve. If you disrespect other people, you may not get any. So, Minister of Defense, please.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank Honorable Peter Ochen from Kole, and my other friend, Honorable Chivumbi, for raising concerns about recruitment. One, it is true, recruitment for the LDU is ongoing and is a national exercise. And given the interest, it could generate a lot of controversies. Now, having two lists here, one is with UPDF added, one is without. Right Honorable Speaker, I can only seek for indulgence that as a ministry, we are given opportunity to go and verify these lists. And we don't need pickups in this matter. But,
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I know you were my chairman that you would allow me to seek this clarification, because the point being raised here, you want to go and verify LDUs. But you can even see in this house, when you look at the generals who are here, they are also from the same region. Going to verify even that.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. That is a former opposition chief whip, and they rightly said he was a member of my committee. I'm very much used to him spinning, even in the House. But as I had said earlier, if the list is containing strangers in Kole or in Buteleja or anywhere else, that is a serious matter. And I believe that as a ministry, we are going to investigate this matter and we get to the core. Right, Honorable Speaker, protect me from.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Mr. Honorable both our chair of legal, life chair of legal.
Is suiting my egos.
We are happy that the query has come up because those are the only people who are ready to testify because they don't fear anybody. But there could be other districts which have similar what? Similar issues. The clarification I'm seeking, Mr. Minister, wouldn't it be better that you get the first list of the entire country and compare with the second list of the whole country? And this can be done easily. There are only 146 districts. You make only 146 calls. They will give you the whole list, the first and the second. And by tomorrow, you will submit, you have an answer. What?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I thank Honorable Nandara Mafabi for his generosity in attempting to give us the method of work. But, I don't have to doubt that he wants this report quickly. And we want to be given that opportunity to do it the best way. Your PDF has whole chieftains of training, chief in charge of training. This recruitment is their whole hierarchies. So if there's anywhere where there's order, is where I'm working. So let's something like this would not arise in your PDF. As you rightly said, if we are going to get lists coming here, probably in the notes boards, there are no lists at all. Some people are going to pluck them. So we are going to go into the core and get these facts clear. Thank you, sir.
No, but there's a point that we need to understand. The honorable member for Kole South. One list is on UPDF letterhead with a logo. One list is not. How did you confirm that the list that does not have the UPDF logo is from UPDF?
Right Honorable Speaker, all these lists were displayed on the notice board of Kwale District Headquarters. By the DISO, even under this list, there is down there where it is signed DISO. And the second list came, the other one was flapped off. So now, which one is which is now the question.
But at any one time, there was only one list on the board.
There was one list. The first one was 102 candidates that were shortlisted. But the second one that was brought later reads 70 candidates that were shortlisted. And it is official notice board.
No, when I talked about evidence-based decision-making, I was not talking about this kind of evidence. Really, Honorable Chen.
But Right Honorable Speaker,
I think my instincts were right that you don't lay them on the table, but really, let's work better.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Let's respect the House, please. Thank you. Rute? Rute? North?
Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker, members present. At least today I'm going to sleep because I've been suffocating with this matter. I rise on the issue of national importance concerning the school fees payment. It was in March last year where we had the first lockdown. Pupils, students had studied for only 3 weeks and they had paid full school fees, and we had a lockdown. But because of that lockdown, most parents lost their jobs and even the businesses went low, and there was domestic violence, there was pregnancy and school dropout. But this time again, we have another second lockdown following the presidential directive. When students went back to school after the lockdown, they were made to pay school fees again, full amount. But now my question is to the Minister of Education. Can the minister clarify, give the parents assurance this time before the schools reopens? Because history keeps on repeating itself. So this time we paid students went for 2 weeks, and some of them never reported to school. They paid school fees. Now my prayer is, let parents should not pay full fee this time again, because as we speak, some lost their lives. We are in a crisis, and there's money still lying there. Some never even, so we don't want history to repeat. We want things to move on normally. I thank you.
Honorable Minister, Education.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank my colleague for raising a very important matter and probably for sensitizing our parents ahead of school reopening. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, following the close of schools in the first lockdown and the subsequent closure in the second lockdown, when schools reopened in the first lockdown, I think, first of all, the curriculum was revised to be contained within the specific period of time. As a result, parents were not asked to pay school fees for the first continuation of the cycle of the term. A case of point is just the School of Health institutions and nursing training schools, health training institutions, medical schools that have just reported last month on the 13th of September. They were not asked to pay the school fees, but the students to continue to complete the cycle of education For example, they are now sitting for exams. After the exams, they go into the new term. And that is only then when parents can pay another school fees for a new term. I want to assure my colleague, and I want to assure the parents and to give hope for everybody that.
Please wind up, please wind up.
I want to give hope that as we plan eventually for the reopening of the school, as we did for the medical schools, schools will not ask for school fees until they complete that cycle, until we start a new term. I beg to submit, Mr. Speaker.
Procedure?
And with the online teaching, all the public.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, last week I raised this matter on the floor of Parliament about how schools are going to open. And among the issues I was asking was also inclusive the fees that was paid before the time began. Because by that time, Right Honourable Speaker, children had spent about 1 month or 2 months at school. And Honourable assured this House that he is going to come back after 7 days, which is today, to give us a full report of what is taking place in education and how they are going to open up schools, inclusive all those matters. So the procedure matter I'm raising, Mr. Speaker, would it be procedure okay that this ministry fulfills what was directed by the Speaker as of then, who was sitting in the House, so that we get a better report? A lot of issues are rotating in these schools. Actually, Mr. Speaker, other schools are already paying fees, yet the terms are not opened. Others have joined, they are recruiting children for senior one, but secondary government schools are not getting them, and they are paying. But you see the minister, the way she's answering, she's not well versed with the information she's giving. So I was praying that would it be procedure okay? They go back in their house, in their ministry, they come back with a conclusive and full report of what is happening in the Ministry of Education, dealing with you in the opening of schools, plus the matter that's been raised by the honorable member. Because already she's saying there is no money that was paid. The fact is parents were paying and even now are paying. But the minister is not aware of that. And I want to put it on record that private schools are paying. And among them, those schools are owned by ministers in this government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I think the member for Rute North raises an important point that we need to interrogate. And we don't just let it go. One, she says, first lockdown, court students had just gone back to school, which means most of them had paid fees. That lockdown stayed for some time. When school was reopening, children were required to pay fees again, and they paid. Now, most recently, after children had paid, the parents had paid fees, they announced schools would not be opening. So the money was paid. Now the question is, when they reopen schools, will these parents be required to pay more money? That's the question. What the minister is saying is that the first lockdown served its purpose, saved this country from more death than it should have, from a lot more death. But when school opened, the terms had shifted. First term for the rest of the school was in January, February, March, when school was closed, or February, March. That was first term. When school reopened, it all reopened, and I'm just giving you an example, it opened in third term. So you cannot use fees of first term to cover third term. That's what the minister is saying. Is that what you're saying? Yes, that's what the minister is saying. So there is no incident of parents paying school fees twice in the same term. That's what she's saying. Yes. So if it is first term, school has opened and then it is closed, you don't pay again for that same term. That's what the minister is saying. And that has
Information.
been the practice. Please, please, please. Who is accessing the microphone?
Information.
Please.
Information.
Please
Mr.
sit,
Speaker.
sit. You don't access the microphone before I have allowed you. You confuse the Hansard, the records. Now look as if I'm the one saying information. That's why you should respect the microphone, because they go straight into record. So if this is correct, then it might be a matter for further interrogation, so that we don't just shroud this thing with the facts that might not stand when finally looked at properly. So the minister said that, the member raised that. Many of you are saying, well, they paid twice in one term. Wouldn't this be a matter that the Committee on Education should be interested in quickly and look at quickly? I think it's an urgent matter that the Committee on Education should look at and then get back to the House in a short time so that we understand where we are on this matter. Procedure from the Leader of the Opposition. Yes, Honorable Minister, let me deal with this, then I.
Thank you for your indulgence, Right Honourable Speaker, and your elaborate guidance. My conception of the issues by the Minister is the same as mine. But there's a big challenge, Right Honourable Speaker, and you sending the matter to the committee is quite critical. When we went into the first lockdown, Right Honourable Speaker, government launched what they called the Continuity of Learning Framework. And if you ask Ministry of Education, schools only closed physically, learning is taking place. And they had a three-tier arrangement, namely to send learning materials to children via sub-counties, to photocopy and saturate, whether they are photocopiers and power, doesn't matter. Two, learning on TV. Whether TVs are universally accessible, it doesn't matter. Thirdly, radios as part of the framework. As we speak, Right Honourable Speaker, in some schools, elite schools, learning is actually taking place. If you ask the Ministry of Education now, in which term are we? Because according to the ministry, learning is taking place. But which school term we are running, only heaven is no. Right Honourable Speaker, the procedural matter I'm raising that we can come to the center is whether it will be right for the minister and the ministry in particular to come out clearly, because we are losing an entire generation out of this confusion. Some pupils and students are being promoted, others actually do not know where they are. Wouldn't it be proper, as the minister communicates on record in Parliament, for them to issue an elaborate document, circular, informing parents, minders, and guardians as to the state where we are, including education institutions at all levels, so that we can discuss education and continuity with a clear appreciation of the stand of the agents charged with guiding education. That will Speaker. Thank you.
You know, why I propose what I proposed is that sometimes when ministers come with statements, they have so much gaps that we end up sending them to committee for further interrogation. So instead of first starting with the minister, then you go to committee, I would rather start with the committee where the minister will go and make submissions, and then the committee will come here, give a report, which the minister will respond to, and then we have a debate and understand exactly what is going on. Because if I send it to them, I say, come with a statement, that statement will end up with the committee again. That will be a long way of coming back to Parliament. That's why I'm saying the Committee on Education pick up this matter. The records are clear about what the issues are, and have a meeting with the Minister for Education, beat out the details, let the country know where we are on this matter. Come to Parliament, brief us, we get responses from the minister, we have a full debate on this matter. And then as representatives of the people, we know exactly what the situation is. And then you can communicate better to our people. I think that would be a better way of doing this. But I see the minister has a point, but the matter is referred to the chair of education here. Chair of education. Are you the chair? Do they have two chairs? The Honorable, how much time do you need? Because these are things that are current going on now. We need them urgently.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. For the record, I'm Engineer Cuthbert Gaba-Mirembe. I represent Chivale County, and I'm privileged to be the Deputy Chairperson of the Deliberation Resource Committee. Right Honorable Speaker, we take your concerns. As a committee, we share similar concerns, but we have had some meetings with the Minister of Education. However, since it is a specific assignment, we undertake to carry on with it, and we request 2 weeks to report back to the House. Right, Honorable Speaker.
It's 2 weeks, okay, members? Let's give them this chair. Let's because the specific issues are very clear. All we need are facts about what we need to communicate to our
Right,
people.
Honorable Speaker, 2 weeks is realistic.
2 weeks
for
will be
us.
sufficient?
Yes.
Okay, 2 weeks. Committee of Education, please report back to Parliament on these issues. Make sure you talk to the minister, the people in charge of the Ministry of Education. Have these meetings with them so that we know exactly what we're, that when the communications go out, everybody is guided.
Most
Thank you.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, now we have to go to the order paper. For the first time, I have gone this far. Clerk?
Item number 3, motion for a resolution of reallocation of funds from rural electrification agents to Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, and from Minister of Science and Technology and Innovation to State House.
Honorable members, you recall that this motion was moved by the Minister of Finance, and I referred it to the Budget Committee. The Budget Committee has now interrogated the matter, and they are back and they are ready to report. So the motion that I propose for your debate, which debate will be initiated by the report from the committee, is for a resolution of Parliament for reallocation of funds from Rural Electrification Agency to Ministry of Energy, Rural Electrification Agency to Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, and from Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation to State House. That is the motion that I propose for your debate. And to start off the debate, I'll ask the chair of the committee to report. Chair, Budget. Chair, how much time do you need to present the report? Because the debate is going to be involving.
10 minutes, right, Honorable Speaker.
Hello?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay, thank you.
Right, Honorable Speaker and honorable members, for the purpose of the Hassan, my name is Wamakuyu Mudimi Ignatius, Member of Parliament, Uganda County, Deputy Chair, Budget Committee. Right, Honorable Speaker, before I present the report, I beg to read a copy of the report on the motion for resolution on Parliament for the allocation of funds from Rural Electrification Agency to Minister of Energy and from Minister of Science and Technology and Innovation to State House. I beg to read.
Let the records capture that.
It's accompanied by minutes of the committee. We have a resolution, motion for the resolution. We have submissions by Attorney General. We also have list of staff or member of Science and Technology who are absorbed by State House. staff of Rural Electrification Agency were absorbed under Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. Statement on plan to restructure Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation and the Rural Electrification Agency, and a brief on the allocation. I beg to lay.
Let the records capture the minutes and all those documents attached.
Right Honorable Speaker and members, on Tuesday 24th August 2021, the Minister of State for Finance, Planning and Economic Development in charge of general duty, Honorable Henry Musasizi, moved a motion for resolution of Parliament to reallocate funds from vote 1023, Rural Electrification Agency, to vote 017, Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, and from vote 023, Minister of Science and Technology and Innovation, to vote 002, State House. This was referred to our committee. Members, this has been uploaded. I think you can read. Now, the object of this motion is to seek parliamentary resolution to authorize the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to reallocate funds from those votes mentioned. And on 10th May 2021, the existence and vote status of Rural Electrification Agency, vote 0123, was revoked under the Electricity Establishment and Management of Rural Electrification Fund, instrument number 29 of 2021, and its functions were mainstreamed into vote 017, Minister of Energy and Mineral Development. In addition, on 9th June 2021, in accordance with Article 113 of the Constitution, AKA the President of the Republic of Uganda abolished the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation and transferred its function to Office of the President, service by State House Comptroller, vote 002. All above actions occurred after Parliament had approved funds under vote 123 and vote 023 for financial year 2021-22 and passed the Appropriation Act 2021. The motion therefore requires that Parliament authorize the Minister of Finance and Economic Development to allocate funds. Roman 1, Uganda shillings 527 billion, 114 million appropriated under vote 123, Rural Electrification Agency, to vote 017, Minister of Energy and Mineral Development. Number 2, Uganda shillings 265 billion, 43 million appropriated under vote 023, Minister of Science and Technology and Innovation, to vote 002, State House. Members, you can read the methodology 3.0. Legal framework, that is 4.0. The request for budgetary reallocation is premised on Section 20 of Public Finance Management Act 2015, which provides that Parliament may, by resolution, authorize the minister to reallocate funds from a vote to another vote where the function of a vote are transferred to that other vote. Observation, analysis of the motion. Paragraph 3 of the motion states that further aware that in accordance with Article 113 of the Constitution, aka the President of the Republic of Uganda abolished the Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation and transferred this function to Office of the President, service by the State House Comptroller under vote 002. The committee observed that whereas the Office of the President, vote 001, has its own cabinet minister and accounting officer, the President appointed another cabinet minister as a minister in the Office of the President, serviced by State House Comptroller in charge of Science, Technology and Innovation. B, ministers are appointed to perform delegated function of the president, and the State House as a vote is under the political supervision of office of the president. The function of science and technology and innovation have moved to State House, serviced by the same vote 002. Inevitably warrants the reallocation of the attendant funds to enable the execution of the planned activity and the realization of the set development target. 5.2, consistency of the budget appropriation with funds requested for reallocation. The committee observed that the budgetary amount proposed for reallocation under vote 0123 and the vote, I beg your pardon, vote 123 and vote 017 are consistent with amount passed under Appropriation Act 2021 and supplied under statutory expenditure as indicated on table 1. So members, you can read table 1. The vote is there. The amount of the as per motion approved by Parliament, it tallies. 6.0, reallocation and the transfer of functions. Transfer of Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation function to State House. The committee interacted with Minister of Public Service, State House, and Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and observed the following. The Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation and all underlisted subdivisions were transferred to Office of the President under the functional control and the management of State House Comptroller. The subdivisions are Uganda National Council for Science and Technology, Sericulture, Technology and Innovation, Presidential Initiative on Banana Industrial Development, PIPID, Kira Motors Corporation, National Council, National Science, Technology, Engineering and Innovation Enhancement Project, Presidential Scientific Initiative on Epidemics. B, in the transition period, the management of the receiving entity, State House, shall take over all the staff of the defunct entity of Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation until new arrangements are concluded. The committee was given assurance by the Minister of Public Service that no staff will be dismissed without following the laws and the regulations governing public service. Number 3, the Minister of Public Service has developed a draft macrostructure for science, technology, and innovation under State House, whose authorization await cabinet approval. It is attached as Annex 1. This structure will carry on the functions that have been transferred from Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation. The funds appropriated under vote 0123 for formerly Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation were allocated on the basis of activities indicated in the policy statements approved by Parliament as provided under Section 13, subsection 15 of PFMA. These funds are the ones trying to move. Transfer of rural rectification agents to Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. The rural rectification agency is among the government institutions that were earmarked for mainstreaming into the sector ministry. Ministry of Energy. Now the table below shows the activities. Members, you can read table 2. Plans, transfer, and the mainstream of the minister, all those you can read. The committee observed that in the transition period, the management of the receiving entity, Ministry of Energy, Energy and Mineral Development shall take over all staff of REA until the new arrangements are concluded. The committee further observed that Ministry of Public Service has developed a draft macro structure for Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development with mainstreamed function of rectification as it's attached as Annex 2, and recommended macro structure for reorganized structure of the Director of Energy, Resources and Development, it's Annex 3. All people who are employed by REA were transferred to the Minister responsible for energy on the terms and the conditions illustrated in their contracts. 7.0, pending obligation under Rural Electrification Agency and the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. The committee observed that there are pending obligations that need to be addressed urgently, and this include: one, salaries of all people who are employed by Rural Electrification Agency, Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, and the subvention they are under have not been paid since the beginning of this financial year, 2021, 2022. Their payments await the allocation of funds that the motion seeks. Number two, all obligations and liabilities
Hence, Minister of Science and Technology and Innovation, which is vote 023, should not vanish in the State House, which is vote 002. There is a very high likelihood of funds being used to finance household obligations of State House, as opposed to supporting innovations if the specific budget is made to disappear. It is the considered opinion, our considered opinion, that a separate vote, if the legal obligations have been discharged by the mover of the motion, is created for the defunct Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation under the presidency. This has already been done with other sectors that are under the presidency. You can see the table. Under the presidency, you have vote 001, which is Office of the President. You have vote 002, which is State House. You have vote 107, Uganda AIDS Commission. You have 112, which is Ethics and Integrity. You have 158, which is Internal Security Organization, and 159, which is External Security Organization. So if we must move this money, just create a separate vote and put it there. That is our recommendation, that a separate vote, once the obligation under the law have been followed, should be created under the presidency, where the functions and budget of the Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation would be reallocated. Point number 3, lack of approved structures. I'm going to run very quickly, Mr. Speaker. The Minister of Public Service appeared before the committee and told the committee that the new structures for State House, creating various directorates, and the Minister of Energy, Mineral Development, that would receive the staff, budget, and functions have not been approved by the Minister of Public Service itself and later cabinet. He presented drafts which he said were pending consideration and approval by cabinet. These drafts are attached to this report, both the main and minority report. It would be unwise to approve reallocation in the absence of clearance of structure from the Minister of Public Service. The structures are essential in ensuring seamless continuity of activities and delivery of services that were a responsibility of the Rural Electrification Agency and Minister of Science. To the contrary, the absence of approved revised structures has caused uncertainty among the staff of the defunct entities as to whether they are assured continuity of employment. For instance, this was a concern that was documented and raised by the Minister responsible for public service to the counterpart in the office of the President, and these correspondences are there. It was noted from the correspondence that consultations were still being undertaken to finalize cabinet paper. This therefore raises concerns as to whether it would be prudent to make reallocations that would be redundant pending these approvals by public service and by cabinet. Absence of structures would constrain service delivery and absorption of reallocated funds. The same concern was observed regarding the reallocation of REA. While the statutory instrument 2021 transferred staff and funds to the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, it was noted in their submission that cabinet was yet to approve the structure of the Rural Electrification Department or program under the ministry. Based on the above issue, it would be imprudent to reallocate funds to entities that lack revised structures to execute activities and absorb funds of the defunct agencies. Our recommendation: the allocation should not be approved in the absence of revised and approved structures within the votes, inheriting functions and funds of defunct entities, meaning REA and Ministry of Science and Technology. Point number 4, unsuitable domiciling of Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation. Right, Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the majority on the committee consent to the proposed domicile of the functions of the defunct entities as well as the budgetary allocation. However, the proposed domicile is not the best suited. It should also be noted that the defunct ministry was responsible for Uganda National Council of Science and Technology, Presidential Initiative on Banana, Industrial Development, Cell Culture, Technology and Innovation, Presidential Scientific Initiative on Epidemics, and Kira Motors Corporation. The subventions may be better domiciled in other ministries. For instance, UNSCT under Minister of Education, BID and Kira Motors under Minister of Trade and Industry, Cell Culture under Minister of Health, Cell Culture and Technology under Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries. Our recommendation, Mr. Speaker, the funds and activities of the entities under the defunct Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation should be transferred to best suited ministries, particularly Ministry of Education, Ministry of Trade Industry and Cooperatives, Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Security of Rural Electrification Fund, the committee noted with concern that statutory instruments gave Minister of Energy and Mineral Development nearly absolute powers to determine functionality of Rural Electrification Fund. However, the majority report is silent on the imminent risk of the minister's power. They pose a risk to the Rural Electrification Program, as envisaged in the recent litigation of the electricity establishment and management of the Rural Electrification Fund, instrument number 62 of 2020 and number 29 of 2021. A greater risk is posed by the fact that the current instrument expires in 2023. It provides no provision of continuity pertaining functionality of Rural Electrification Fund after expiry of the instrument. Recommendation: the electricity establishment and management of the Rural Electrification Fund, instrument number 29 of 2021, should be retired through an amendment to the Electricity Act to explicitly provide for the functionality of the Rural Electrification Fund and program. Point number 6, inconsistency with the National Development Plan. The budget of the defunct entities were approved after ascertaining that they were aligned to the National Development Program 3 as required under Section 13(6) of the Public Finance Management Act. The current budget of 2021-2022 was developed according to the programs that are aligned to the NDP3. One of the programs was Innovation, Technology, Development and Transfer. Technology Development and Transfer. The activities of the defunct Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation were largely hinged onto this program as the lead agency. Therefore, the retirement of Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation amounts to amputation of the NDP3. Our recommendation, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, is that going forward, care should be undertaken during the rationalization process to ensure alignment with the National Development Plan. Point number 7, I am about to come to the conclusion, Mr. Speaker. Piecemeal rationalization of agencies. While concern was raised on the challenges of piecemeal rationalization of agencies during committee meetings, the majority on the committee downplayed the proposal, deferring approval until comprehensive rationalization motion is presented. It is important to note that in February 2021, Cabinet resolved to rationalize all ministries, departments, and agencies in the government. In this regard, in May 2021, the Minister informed Parliament about an implementation plan that was structured into 2 phases. First phase, this was to be executed in 2021-2022 financial year, focusing on implementation of rationalization recommendations regarding 18 government ministries and 97 agencies. Some of these were expected to be merged, mainstreamed, and function transferred. Based on this, it would be prudent for Parliament to consider implementation mechanism for all entities flagged for 2021-2022, rather than the current piecemeal approach of bringing layer around and then tomorrow you come
carrying another. The proposed allocation of all NEREA and the Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation is selectively convenient. The latter was not even included amongst the entities being targeted for reallocations. Instead, it was argued that it was a younger ministry and should be granted the opportunity to fully operationalize. The second phase, this was to be implemented in 2020-2023, focusing on 6 government offices and ministries, as well as 61 agencies. These were to be retained following an institutionalization review. Our recommendation, Mr. Speaker, is that before we approve this motion of picking there, then you bring another. A comprehensive motion regarding all the 18 ministries and 97 agencies whose rationalization was scheduled for this financial year should be presented to Parliament. Mr. Speaker and other members, we implore you to support the minority report because it will make the work of rationalization and keep the mandates of these agencies. This report, Mr. Speaker, is signed by the reader, signed by Honorable Nambeshe John Baptist, signed by Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi, and signed by the Honorable Anna Adeke Ebaju. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And Honorable Namuga Goreti. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Samuju. Thank you, Chair, for the report in support of the motion. And the minority report is also in support of the motion as long as modifications can be made. That's what they're proposing. So as a first step, we're in agreement that this should be done. It's the way of doing it that there's disagreement. The minority says, no, there could be a better way of doing this. What you're proposing goes straight against the law, Public Finance Management Act, and the rules of procedure of this House. That's what they're saying. And of course, they put other extraneous factors which might not be substantially crucial in terms of determining how we should move. And they propose that the motion itself should be amended so that it can accommodate all the issues. But of course, the minority says, no, the way it is, if we shift this away from the initial propositions and house this thing in State House the way it is structured, everything will be okay. There is, however, a third opinion, and I got this from the Honorable Nandala Mafadi, who always likes to come out as the financial guru in this country, sometimes without much evidence, but he does a good job guiding how to proceed with these matters. His view is also that this matter should not have come by motion. The PSST, the Permanent Secretary, Secretary to Treasury, is the manager of votes. He can collapse a vote and create another one. So if the vote that is housing these monies that are supposed to be removed, so the issue is close that vote. Then open another one where you want to open it. And then instead of going by motion, go by supplementary proposal to reallocate money to the new vote you have created. If it's to cater for the Honorable Musenero's ministry, is she here now? I thought I saw her. It should be then done that way. And there is no need for a motion. That is from the Honorable Nandala Mafadi. So now there are 3 probably legally sustainable, like 2 sides. 3 are too many. And now that the Land Attorney General is here, I am sure he's thinking hard about how to guide this Parliament on how to proceed with this matter. So, honorable members, I think there are preliminary matters before we open the debate, because the debate can get very, very, very confusing if we don't streamline the areas where the debate should be. The debate, of course, the general debate is We want money removed from RIA, taken to the Minister of Energy. We want money removed from science technology, it's taken to State House. We can debate that until tomorrow. But for us, if we want to take a proper decision, the debate should be, we need to be guided on, okay, we agree that it should go. Since it's the president who proposes the budget, now he has changed his mind, he wants to do that, okay, let him do it. But how does he do it? Within the law. Lana Tonajin, do you have some quick thoughts on this matter? Or should I give you some time? Or you want some time? Because on this matter, I'm actually willing to pick the Land Attorney General, pick the leader of the opposition, Dr. Mwanga Chivumbi, and ask them to step aside and talk and come and advise the speaker on how we proceed with this matter. If the leader of the opposition does not want to be part of it, yes, no, I was just proposing, if you are, yes, it's because you could go, and the minister also. Who else wants to go? About 3, 4, 5 people sit and take out all the other things, and we agree. Honorable Nandala Mafawi, please join these people and agree on how we move best on this matter. Is that okay?
local government roads, recurrent operations, council allowances, among others. Just this afternoon, you heard from the Minister of Disaster Preparedness that in the districts they have got district disasters committees, but funds for fuel prevents them to go on the ground to ascertain the problems that affect our people. Even when local governments have exceeded the collection limits, they are not able to pass a supplementary budgets nor access revenues. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, recall that 85% of local government budgets are funded by the central government grants, which are conditions on items like wages of teachers, health workers, and other staffs. More grants are ring-fenced for construction of health centers, classroom blocks, water extension, road construction, and related expenses. You can also note that some of these constructions are really awarded from the center here than from the local government. And it also, in many cases, it becomes very difficult for the local governments to monitor work that they have not really given to the people. You remember all the seed schools which are being constructed now are constructed by people who are sent from the center here, which is very, very difficult for them to monitor such. I want us to pray that the House considers local governments to retain the 15% of the budget being locally generated revenue or non-tax revenue to finance developed services under the decentralization policy without any bureaucracy. The most compelling for advocating for the retention of these revenues at the local government level is to minimize the time lost between revenue generation releases by central government and the implementation of the activities by the local government. This is evidenced through warrants and limits controlled at the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. In order to enhance service delivery, local councils should be empowered to spend and when they generate the local revenues. Honorable Speaker, given this background and aware that the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development is not alive to these limitations, as per the directive of the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury on the 14/2020, the directive in effect defeats the decentralization policy. This section 31 of the Public Management Act exempts local government revenues from being paid into and forming part of the consolidated fund. This provision is in line with Article 192 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda that provides for local governments to retain a specific portion of collected revenues for the purposes of their functions and services. In light of the above, honorable members, Right Honorable Speaker, I invite you, honorable colleagues, to urge government to reverse these directives by the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury, requiring local governments to remit all local revenues to the consolidated fund. This would empower the local governments to have flexibility to generate and expand funds available to them, which will boost the exercise of devolved powers to improve service delivery in our constituencies and respective communities without any bureaucracy, without waiting for the central government to send to them funds on the ground. I beg to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. The motion that I propose for your debate for the resolution of Parliament to urge government to reverse the directive requiring local governments to remit all local revenues to the consolidated fund. That is the motion for your debate, and the debate should start now. And I can see, this is serious. And I can see
members want to speak. But is it because, let me just say something and then we see how to proceed. What has been the, I don't have the minutes of finance here, but I have the one who was just been there the other day, who I'm sure is conversant with some of these issues. Where did it come from? I mean, where did this, because this never used to be. So how did it come about before we debate? Is it rooted in the law? Is it, how did it come about? Then we can have this debate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Minister of Finance had actually prepared a statement to give to this House the background, the reasons why the ministry took a decision to do this in order to increase the financial management effectiveness of our resources. And I would request, with your permission, Mr. Speaker, that the government chief whip reads the minister's statement, which is already prepared here and is being uploaded on our computers, on our iPads. Chief whip.
Or should we just, do we need to receive, because if there is a proper justification for doing what you did, why don't we have a debate? We could have a debate, then somewhere in the middle, you could guide. Would we receive the minister's justification? Wait. I think it's important. There is, because what we are saying is, we want to urge government to reverse that directive. Well, don't you think the debate would be better if we say, but why did they do it in the first place? Why did they do it in the first place? Why did they make this kind of decision? And if we get that, then we can have a good debate. That's my ruling.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. For members' comfort, as you know, the Minister of Finance is part of the team that has been sent to the negotiating room to come up with a way forward on this matter, on the matter of the previous motion.
Proceed.
So that's why he's not here. Right Honorable Speaker, the Auditor General raised queries on the treatment of local revenue and unspent balances which were not remitted to the consolidated fund. I therefore want to inform you what the Minister of Finance has taken to ensure that all financial management matters are in line with the Public Finance Management Act 2015 as amended. A, locally raised revenue. Right Honorable Speaker, prior to the financial year 2016-2017, the local government's budget funded by local revenue was approved by the local government councils, and only the budget for direct transfers from central government grants would be submitted to Parliament for appropriation. Right Honorable Speaker, local governments collected local revenue for the financial year and spent the funds from general fund maintained at the district, while funds from all central government grants were banked in Bank of Uganda under the Treasury single account arrangement. Local governments would then be required to report on all sources of funds in line with Section 51, subsection 1 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 as amended, which states that an accounting officer of a vote and an accounting officer of a local government shall, within 2 months after the end of each financial year, prepare and submit to the Auditor General and the Accountant General the accounts and information set out in paragraph 2 of Schedule 5 to this Act. Right Honorable Speaker, the above process presented the following challenges. One, the budget approval was done at different times. That is, for funds funded by revenue were approved by council, while those funded by central grants were approved by Parliament. Two, there was lack of accountability and transparency for local revenue. And three, there was a challenge of delays in reporting and preparation of financial statements because of scattered information.
Right Honorable Speaker, in order to address the above challenge, effective financial year 2019-2020, the Minister of Finance reviewed the process and required local revenue budget to also be appropriated by Parliament. Local governments were required to correct and remit local revenue to the consolidated fund in line with Section 30, subsection 1 of the Public Finance Management Act. Right Honorable Speaker, during the execution, the Minister of Finance would advance first quarter release for local revenue to local governments. This provided local governments with funds to kickstart their work plans in order to avoid delays in service delivery, given that they would not have made any corrections at the start of any financial year. They would do front loading. However, the subsequent quarter releases would be based on actual remittances to the consolidated fund. Right Honorable Speaker, however, this modality also resulted in a number of challenges, which include, among others, one, some local governments were inflating their budgets for local revenue and would fail to recover 25% advance of their appropriated budget released in the first quarter. Two, delayed releases of local revenue due to delayed remittances of local revenue to the consolidated fund, since subsequent quarter releases were based on remittances to the consolidated fund. And three, audit queries by the Auditor General as a result of local governments that had not recovered funds advanced to them, contrary to the Public Finance Management Act 2015 amended. Right Honorable Speaker, in order to address the above challenge, the Minister of Finance, effective financial year 2021-2022, made a policy reversal to have expenditure limits for local revenue issued daily based on actual remittance made to the consolidated fund, and to date, all local governments that have remitted funds to the consolidated fund have got their releases. Right Honorable Speaker, where a local government collects more revenue than appropriated by Parliament, it is required to submit a council resolution requesting for a supplementary budget and a revised work plan, clearly indicating the activities to be implemented using these extra funds. This request is then tabled before Parliament for supplementary appropriation. Unspent balances for local governments. Right Honorable Speaker, in addition to the management of local revenue, several issues have been raised on unspent balances for conditional and unconditional grants under the local governments. Article 193, 1B of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda states that the President shall, for each financial year, in accordance with this Constitution, cause to be presented to Parliament proposals as to the monies to be paid out of the consolidated fund as conditional grant in accordance with clause 3 of this article. This therefore provides for conditional grants to local governments. Further, Article 193, clause 3 of the Constitution stipulates how the conditional grant should be spent. It states that conditional grant shall consist of monies given to local governments to finance programs agreed upon between the government and the local governments, and shall be expended only for the purposes for which it was made and in accordance with the conditions agreed upon. However, we have noted that at the end of every financial year, several local governments have unspent balances which expire in accordance with Section 17, subsection 1 of the Public Finance Management Act, which states that every appropriation by Parliament shall expire and cease to have any effect at the close of the financial year for which it is made. The Minister of Finance accordingly reverts some of the unspent balances upon request by an accounting officer to fulfill contractual obligations of local governments, like payment of certificates for completion of works. For example, local governments are currently implementing Uganda intergovernmental fiscal transfer co-funded by the World Bank, and due to the delays in procurement as process, hybrid procurement, the projects that are not completed within the financial year that funds are appropriated. As such funds are reverted through a supplementary budget to enable the local governments to complete their projects. Right Honorable Speaker, this is for information purposes to guide the debate. So the position of government is very clear that we don't need to amend this. We should continue working with the local governments for proper accountability of public funds. I thank you, Right Honorable.
Thank you very, very much. I don't know. Honorable members, you have received the motion quite passionately and eloquently presented, and the secondment also, but you've also received now the reason why they did what they did. I think the debate now can be balanced based on the information we have received from the movers of the motion and also the response from the Ministry of Finance, why they did what they did, because the motion is to urge them to reverse that decision that they took, which has led to changes in the way local governments operate, which now has provoked a response from Parliament to say, no. That thing was working properly. Reverse that decision, and the justification for that decision is there. Debate opens now, each member. But you see, now we have a challenge. When all of you stand like this, I have to impose a time. I have to give you a time. That's how we come to 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Some people keep asking, why 2 minutes? Who can speak for 2 minutes? When all of you rise, I have to accommodate or try to accommodate all of you. So I have to limit the time. Can we agree on a time? 3 minutes? 3 minutes will not accommodate everybody. And this debate will take 25 minutes to 30. And then we'll take a decision. 2 minutes? We agree on 2 minutes? No thanking anybody, just go straight to the point. Don't even thank the speaker. It's not necessary. You're already here. That means you've already thanked me. Just go straight to the matter you want to present. Let me start with the former chairman of Kumi District, chairperson. Chairperson of Kumi District, who is member of Kumi District, member of Parliament now.
I am on the government side, but I stand to support the reversal. And I have a few reasons to that. I'm aware that government had intentions of fighting corruption. Mr. Speaker, while in local government, we used to blame the center for being more corrupt. And yet the center was also saying local governments were more corrupt. The problem or reason why I support is the delays in terms of approval and remittance back to the local governments. You are aware that the operations of the local councils are highly dependent on the local revenues. When the local revenues are sent to the consolidated fund and they are delayed, you find that councils cannot operate. So when there are urgent matters in the local governments, nothing can happen. When you go to garbage disposal in the urban, because now Kumi has a municipality, many times the accounting officers will say, until we are given the local revenue, there is not much we can do. Mr. Speaker, for us to have an effective and efficient government that I support, we should reverse this, because I know after 5 years, we shall make a very clear accountability in terms of public service delivery. Mr. Speaker, we have approved work plans normally by local governments that are funded by local revenues. Mr. Speaker, let me share with this House that there is now a lot of apathy in terms of collecting local revenues. The parish chiefs, even when you go to the urban settings, they are not motivated. They say, even if we work hard to get this money, we don't get the money on time. So, Mr. Speaker, because of the time, I want to really plead that for an effective NRM government, let this decision be reversed. We shall have a clear follow-up of the implementers of the activities of local governments. In the end, if we don't, we shall always be blamed as the ruling party. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Former chairman of Gulu District, Honorable Ojaram Penduzi.
Right Honorable Speaker, I am up in support of the motion to have this decision reversed. Right Honorable Speaker, there is even a much bigger problem that we have to deal with. First, the manner in which the Ministry of Finance come with policies and decisions every financial year. And most of these decisions are taken without preparing the local government entities to implement them. When the financial year begins, the local governments are prepared to move on. But midway, either in first quarter, there is a new decision. Second quarter, another one. And so the local governments are keep on struggling how to cope up with these new changes and end up failing to implement. And when they fail to implement, the monies go back to Treasury. It's always a struggle. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, you see, the decision to have local revenue taken to the consolidated fund is not only contradicting the spirit of decentralization, but also destroying the morale of local government entities. When you interact with the local government leaders, they tell you they are helpless. They have been rendered redundant. And so the spirit of even being creative to generate local revenue is no more because there is a lot of micromanagement within the Ministry of Finance. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Government Chief Whip made mention of a process where when a local government entity budgets are way above, collects way above their projection, they are required to the Ministry of Finance to have a supplementary budget. I can give you an example, Right Honorable Speaker, that like when I was chairman of GULU, we repeatedly kept on requesting for this supplementary. It is done at will. You have to keep on struggling, and sometimes the Minister of Finance will tell you, we cannot present your issue as an individual district. We first have to wait for all. That defeats the spirit of service delivery because there are uniquenesses. And so, Right Honorable Speaker, it would be fair for this Parliament, first of all, to pay special interest in the manner in which the Minister of Finance is treating local government. Secondly, this Parliament also needs to pick interest to understand why local governments are failing to even generate local revenue. You will believe that in most of the local government entities, they are generating less than 10% of the total local projection. There is a culture of dependency that has been built, and it is deliberate. This micromanagement will defeat the purpose for which decentralization was introduced, and it is responsible for the poor service delivery at local government level. Thank you.
Have I run out of former chairpersons of districts?
Mr. Speaker, I'm called Bob Okai, Member of Parliament for Kwania North County. I've been the district chairperson for 2 terms. I want to support the motion, and I want to bring to the attention of this Parliament that reversing back local revenue to the Treasury has failed all the chairpersons in Laos Sub-region. I heard from the government chief whip. The document is very clear. If you have not been in local government, you may not understand. And when they brought this issue to us, the chairperson, we thought it was going to be the way he presented. But local governments were given advance payment at the beginning of the year. You are supposed to raise, and these advance payments are dictated by Minister of Finance. Apache local government was given 100 million. At the beginning of the financial year, in the second quarter, we were supposed to be given another advance if we pay back the 100 million. But unfortunately, we raise only 90 million. We did not reach. So during the release, we are not given money. We are now supposed to be given in third quarter. Then in third quarter, Minister of Finance said there is a shortage. There is a shortage in finance, so they did not even give us. We have already raised our money up to 160 million. They gave us only 40 million in fourth quarter. So I am in good faith bringing to the attention of this parliament that if the ministry fail to reverse back this money to local government, then local government will collapse. Because there are many activities at local government that needs local revenue. All this disagreement between council, disagreement between the technical staff, which is very rampant at local government, is brought about by this. So I think we should think beyond issues of financial disciplines and the rest. Let's reverse the decision and we take back control of local revenue to local government. I submit.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you so much. My name is, for the record, I'm Karubanga Jacob Atenyi, Kivanda South. I rise to support the motion, and one, I want to allay the fears of the ministry that there has always been a contradiction between the approvals on local revenues by local governments and approvals of consolidated fund by parliament. Normally, local governments receive IPFs, which get integrated and budgets are passed. Two, lack of transparency, accountability, and what have you. I'm saying that through you, Right Honorable Speaker and members, the ministry is well aware that local governments and central government have checks. The audit section, both at local and the central government, the PAC are there. This can be queried and solutions be found. Unspent balances from my experience as a former speaker are normally generated from late releases from central government. That's why you find a lot of money is on account, especially during the fourth quarter. We only need to cross-examine ourselves as central government and ensure that there is timely releases of funds. The other one is fiscal flexibility. Some time back, local governments were urged to work so hard so that maybe with the time, they would be given an opportunity to continue handling more funds from the consolidated funds. That was a very well-designed policy, which I thought if it would be improved, it would further strengthen local governments. The last one is that delays in releases of money and contradictions of the kind will kill local government so much.
The way we are going, is there a lot of debate on this matter? Let me take it from the revenue perspective. Honorable Katesh.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm just glad that this matter is a bipartisan matter, and I rise to support the motion because in my constituency, Shema Municipality, we have been a victim of this practice. Right Honorable Speaker, I have a problem with government trying to deal with problems by creating another problem. If the problem was accountability, who is in charge of the accounting officers? It is the ministry. I have heard over the years threats being issued to the accounting officers to account.
What actions have been taken to deal with that problem without creating more problems like we have
tomorrow is certain. And the Minister of Public Health Service said he will commit to fast track that process. So it is in that broad spirit that we agreed, and I beg to move, sir.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Now, the procedural aspect has been dealt with. Now, there was the other one, the one of the justification, which the minister made the other day, and also it had come out from I think from both sides. All that was lucky. Nobody was querying the justification. It was about the procedure of how we are going to do it. Yes, you have a right to change, relocate, but the way you're doing it is wrong. Nobody's saying, why are you doing it? But that debate is still open. If anybody wants to ask why, is there any justification for this, based on what the minister submitted and the committee also submitted, that there was justification because of changes that had happened in the ministries. Some ministries had been moved, some like that. So if there is no debate along that area, I would then proceed to propose the question to the amendment as proposed by the minister, by the Land Attorney General. Can I put the question, that amendment? I'll propose the question to the amendment as proposed by the Land Attorney General. The amendment. Will those in favor say to the contrary? No. Motion duly amended. The ayes have it. Now, is there a debate on the why, the principle? Is there really any need, honorable members? Okay. There is, no, you are not going to debate by procedure. I warn you. And in the same line, the honorable member would trick the speaker. We have a long time here, you might. One day I will trick you also. So can we deal with this and finish? There's one concern from, yes, one concern.
Right Honorable Speaker. The other concern issue is that we have got to go and to proceed to appropriate.
Huh?
We've got to go the whole way to appropriate, because this is being moved under motion. But procedurally, because we are moving money from one vote to another, if we carry the motion afterwards as it is, then we will proceed the whole length to supply.
Yeah, that's what I was actually consulting on. Do we, when particular funds have already been committed to the fund, have already been appropriated, do you supply twice? And I think the answer may be no. Yes, Honorable Mafavi.
Mr. Speaker, that's why, thank you very much for the opportunity. The reasoning is not, we are not going to increase the resource envelope. What is happening, if you're moving money from another vote to another vote, what basically happens is a supplementary for purpose of reallocation. And what we're trying even to advise the government, which you are not paying me for, is that such things would have moved under reallocations. And that would have not caused a lot of unnecessary debates here. So, Mr. Speaker, what Honorable Chivumbi has said, right now the motion is there, but we have to go to do supplementary of purposes of the allocation. The whys and the do's, Mr. Speaker, the minister, creating the Ministry of ICT, for example, of Science and Technology, it wasn't Parliament which created it. It was the executive which what? Created it. Votes, the only thing we have done here today is to ask the Minister of Finance and the Attorney General to go and prevail on the Secretary to Treasury to create a vote, so that after creating that vote, because we're going to pass the money conditionally, then that's when the money will what? Move. Failure to do it, the money will not what? Move. That's what we're trying to do. The wise and the not wise, I think they are the one to answer. Why did they create it in the first place? Why are they removing it? And why are they doing that? Mr. Speaker, this country belongs to all of us. If you were,
now you are getting out of the issue.
no, just 1 minute, Mr. Speaker. I want to state this. Supposing we're in the accounts class, me and Cyrus, we do exams. I am the best. Cyrus is the worst. And Cyrus went to, that's an example. Okay.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, let me reverse, Mr. Speaker.
Right,
No,
Honorable
no, no,
Speaker.
no, Honorable Augon. You are Honorable Augon Silas. You are not Silas in this house.
Exactly. Mr. Speaker, you have ruled very well. I was not meaning honorable. I was meaning Cyrus and one another. So he was panicking for nothing. Mr. Speaker, we are on the same bench. The other Cyrus gets 40%, I get 80%. He goes to authority, me I go to public service. I get 300,000, the worst one gets 20 million. Is it rational? And we are doing the same job. I think government must come up clearly with cost benefit analysis and we deal with it. In 2002, Mr. Speaker, you were here. We warned them against creating agencies. We told them it's going to be dangerous. Now they're eating you. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member, this is the situation. Before we get too far. The situation is that we have a motion that we need to deal with. But then there are events that could happen after the motion, which they will need to purify and interrogate and choose how you want to proceed the best way forward. What they want to do is supplementary. And you want to have to take a decision whether that supplementary would have to be approved or because the money is already appropriated, you want to reallocate as supplementary. That would be a decision you take after. Or whether, whatever you want to do, but the motion is a separate matter. We will not go into those details. What happens after the motion is up to you. Our only caution is it must be legal. It must be within the law. We have had enough opportunity, and like the Land Attorney General, as with great humility, which is really the way to go, accepted that there are some things that were overlooked, which when they looked at it again, they found the concerns were legitimate. So you want to do this properly now that you have got a second chance. But that does not affect our conclusion of this debate. I see the member for, is that Butambala? Yes. You've been standing up a few times. On what matter do you rise?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
On what matter do you rise?
On a procedural matter.
Procedure, yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, I am not sure whether we are proceeding well.
Just ask me.
Public Finance Management Act, Section 20 says, reallocation of funds from my vote. Parliament may, by resolution, authorize the minister to reallocate funds from a vote to another where the functions of a vote are transferred to that other vote. Last time we were here last week, and the leader of government business told us that there's no rationalization that has taken place, no department has moved, everything is still as it has been. They will update us if any rationalization is done. And to that effect, even an ad hoc committee was set to go and study rationalization, its effect and impact. That report has not come to us. The minister has not updated us whether they have started on rationalization, and we are moving a vote from one area to another. Are we proceeding well, Right Honorable Minister, Right Honorable Speaker?
Thank you very much, Honorable. What we are moving is not a vote. What we are moving is money. It's not a vote. A vote is different from money. A vote is the bank account in which the money is put. Now, we're removing the money for this financial year for a particular purpose. That's the distinction. The vote is there. You can keep it forever. But the money which was being already appropriated in that vote is the one they're saying, no, please move that money for this financial year, for these purposes, move it from here, let it be executed under this. The vote is not getting away. It is the money which has already been appropriated by this house. That's why we are here. So we are proceeding very well. Can I put a question?
One concern.
No.
Before we express our adoption of this amendment, I would want the Minister of Public Service to give assurance to the House that any human resource implications will be taken care of, or rather fast-tracked. I think that's the concern of the special team that was created by the Speaker. We want to be assured that any human resource implication to all these reallocations and transfer will be fast-tracked so that we don't have issues. So can that assurance be given to us?
No, absolutely. Thank you. Because I got indication from one of the workers' representatives, Honorable Dr. Biakatonda. Is he here? Where? Yes, you had something to raise about this.
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
You see, like my colleague Honorable Cecily has raised, the number of implications that we need to address.
No, we are talking about this motion, the implication of this motion.
This particular motion, Right Honorable Speaker.
The other one, which is the bigger rationalization, is different. We're talking about this one.
Of course, to arrive at the proper address of the motion, we need to address some issues that are silent.
Okay, let me put the question directly to you so that you can help us as a house. Is this movement of money, the movement of the ministry from going to affect individuals employed there?
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker.
That is then where we need the guarantees from the minister. Because if it's going to affect personnel, Honorable Minister, you need to be on record on
that. It affects personnel, Right Honorable Speaker. One, in order to allocate and appropriate, we must actually address a lot of concerns. How is job evaluation done? Right Honorable Speaker, as we attempt to reallocate, and people move already, there is selective movement of staff. And I have that as within their petition, they have attached all those details. Then, Right Honorable Speaker, already these staff are languishing on the streets. You see, for rural agency, the staff are actually there and working normally. But here already the communication has come, stop their salaries. So I don't know how much is their areas. The other thing is that, one, you see, when you're doing this, there should be structured communication right from the word go. They don't know what is happening, actually. They're in their own world. Two, we need expert engagement, wherein we need now the Office of the Attorney General and the Minister of Public Service to come up with the proper job evaluation. How many jobs are we going to create? How many are we going to lose?
No. I think we are going beyond what.
So I think, Right Honorable, these are technical issues that we need to address if we are to arrive at a proper and smooth flow of things.
For purposes of what I requested you, the technicality doesn't really matter much. The issue was very direct. Is this going to affect staff? If it is going to affect staff, I need an assurance from the Minister of Public Service of how the staff will be handled. They will not be mistreated. They will not be laid on the streets. That's what I want. And you as a workers' representative, now you are going into the bigger thing. For me, I'm still here.
Actually, it's very big, Right Honorable Speaker, and I would like to lay this for clarity.
No. That one is for another day. But for now, public service.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like, Right Honorable Speaker, to give my assurance before this August House, as Minister of Public Service, that indeed we shall fast track the human resource. And as far as matters are concerned now, actually the human resource, for instance, that has been in science, technology and innovation, is going intact to their new domicile. And the fact that we are also creating a structure, or just not creating, but customizing, is clear indication that we are interested in fast tracking, and we are not going to cause any unnecessary harm to the staff. Nothing will come to the staff that is outside the law. Right Honorable Speaker, some of the issues which are raised by our colleague, Deavia Katonda, actually were also raised in the committee when we were there. And fortunately, we had the minister in charge of STI, and most of these things which are raised were proved to be false. There is no selective recruitment so far. Nobody is going to be disadvantaged in terms of pay and so on. So really, what we appropriated is what is going to prevail in the new domicile. I am standing here as an honorable member of parliament, and I've been here for some time. And upon my word of honor, Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to pledge before you that nothing untoward will come to any public servant in this particular sector that is outside the law. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I'll put the question to this matter now. Let's conclude it. I now put the question to the motion for resolution of Parliament for reallocation of funds from Rural Electrification Agency to the Ministry of, was it amended? It was not amended. From the Rural Electrification Agency to the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, and from the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation to State House. To that, the ministry, to the Office of the President. To the Office of the President. That is the motion as amended. Presidency. No, actually it's Office of the President. It's either Office of the President, because that is the vote. Presidency is not a vote. So please let's stick to what the law says. The Office of the President is a vote, but the presidency is not a vote. So the word, honorable member for Doholo, the speaker is very alert on these occasions. So it is the Office of the President, which is vote 00 what? 001. Okay, thank you. So I'll now put the question to the motion as amended, as I've read, and I put the question that motion be approved. Will those in favor say aye? To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. The harmony is good. When people are agreeing, things move better. When people are laughing, I find it easier to process business. When people are not happy, business does not move. So we should always try our best to make the house a happy house, so that we process the business of our people when we are smiling, not when we are fighting. Now, the matter that is supposed to come next is the issue of the motion on public university in Bunyoro. That motion will need further consultation among the members that come from that region. I have received both sentiments from government and from the movers of the motion, and from the other members of parliament that come from that region as well, that they need to have a common ground on this before they move it forward. So I'll defer this motion for another day when there is now harmony on the way they want to proceed with this matter. This house stands adjourned to tomorrow 2 o'clock.